And we are live. Are we live? By the looks of it, we are live. Yes, we are. Lovely. Yeah, I can see the playback. Love it. Excellent. Wow. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the debut instalment of the channel after what has been a very rather eventful final day of the Premier League season, it has to be said, and lots of dramatic final games, and lots of all sorts of different stories concluding, such as the title race. You've got Manchester City, now Premier League champions, once again retaining their title from last year. You've got Burnley, the final team relegated in this Premier League season. You've got obviously Tottenham Hotspur, I think, sealing the already inevitable final place of the top four, and also Brighton, in essence, carrying Manchester United to the last Europa League spot, which, by the way, same Brighton team that kicked our arses the last Premier League game weekend 4-0, so that is a lot of fun to know that that's how we've ended the season. But yeah, what a time to start, especially as a Man United fan, right? What a time to start. I mean, Jesus Christ, what a season. By factually, the worst Premier League season that we have ever had. So there's that straight away off the bat. Let's give it its initial dose of negativity, of course. But yeah, we can't ignore the fact it's definitely been the worst Premier League season for Manchester United in the Premier League. Obviously finishing the season on neutral goal difference as well, so I think that's most goals conceded. So worst defensive record, that's for sure. Worst goal difference probably, and I don't know if it's the least amount of goals scored as well. Probably should be the most amount of least amount of goals scored in a Premier League season. So yeah, there's not a lot of positives to take out of this season. But before we delve deeper into the whole Manchester United sphere, as gloom as that looks, basically I'm just going to run a quick introduction to this channel, what this channel is going to be, and basically what we're going to cover in essence, because obviously this is a new thing for me. Previously I had been doing streams on Twitch. It's like gaming streams, mainly centered around Counter-Strike at that point, but obviously that never really materialized. Viewership is very hard to get hold of when it comes to Twitch, but yeah, so that was obviously a long while back, so this is all new to me, starting with YouTube. And basically, hopefully, we'll see how everything goes on here. Hopefully it goes a lot better. Hopefully I enjoy my time here a lot more. This is definitely something I've wanted to do for a lot longer. I think this is something I have been longing to do in terms of running a YouTube channel. Is something I've had in the back of my mind for years. I think it's just a question really of when, not so much if, for starting a channel, and I get to do this alongside another hobby of mine, which is obviously, as you know by the intro to the stream, talking about football, and you know, it's not my biggest strong suit in doing conversations. I'm not really a people person, but when it comes to talking about football, it's very hard to shut me up, right? It's very hard to shut me up. There's all sorts of things I love to talk about, even if it's not anything to do with Manchester United. I'll happily talk about other Big Six teams, and that is essentially what we'll also be discussing on this channel. Any sort of headline type stories that we have breaking, especially now that we are approaching the transfer window. We are fast approaching the transfer window. And there is so much that's going to be happening across the summer, which I cannot wait to see what does unfold. And especially as a Manchester United fan, when you hit the lowest lows, that's the only way you can go is going up. So fingers crossed for Manchester United heading into the summer. But anyways, back in terms of the introduction to the channel. So basically just laid out the foundations as to what it's going to be. It's a football orientated channel focused around a big six. Clubs as well. It's it's all sorts of different things that we can talk about, debates that we can have, like, potentially call-in shows as well, which will be really interesting to get into over time. Obviously, being the first stream, we'll start slow, we'll keep it basic, and we'll sort of build up from there. We'll see where we go. But yeah, as for this season, I think it's one. I think everyone's just sort of glad that it's a big sigh of relief that everyone's feeling right now. Just glad that the suffering for 90 minutes every weekend and potentially midweek is now over. But yeah, so basically, as what you probably noticed several times, as my reference to Manchester United, I am a Manchester United fan. I wouldn't say lifelong, because I wasn't born into, at least not to my knowledge, I wasn't born into a Manchester United supporting family. I actually started off supporting, well, basically I started off supporting Chelsea, as I think at the time they were the most local club. So it was sort of a thing where it's like, oh, support your local, right? So that is basically where that started out as. But I think once everyone sort of like, in terms of how my interest with football worked, it's sort of dipped out. Obviously growing up, going through childhood, going through the years, getting towards sort of teenage, sort of teenagehood, like the teenage years. I didn't really have so much an interest for football at that point, but it's sort of something that grew on me going through secondary school, most notably. And obviously, at that time, my brother and my dad were Manchester United supporters as well. At that point, obviously, I knew that because I had it on the TV all the time, and it was all just shouting and screaming half the time. But I think at that point, it was all good. It was all sunshine and rainbows for Manchester United at that point as a club. That was all. It was all well and good. Nothing really too much to complain about. So I think it's about then where things started to concept of football grew on me again. I sort of got into the idea of sort of playing football. I think I enjoyed playing football a lot more at school than watching it, but I think it's paying more attention to the beauty that is the football game. And I think finding a team to support as well. I think at that point it was sort of knowing what sort of team I wanted to support, because obviously it would be an easy decision to support Manchester United because my dad, my brother, they were there supporting it. My mother and my sister had no interest in football at the time, so obviously they had no influence into the decision. Obviously the fact that my brother and my dad supported Manchester United, that did help, but it was more sort of understanding the club that really got me hooked onto the club, right? It was sort of understanding what the club stood for at the time, because it's easy just to see a club, oh, they're winning all the tournaments, right? They're winning all the trophies, so it's easy just to latch onto that and just say, yeah, that's me supporting that club. I'm a fan of Manchester United. It's easy to do that. That's what you'd call the glory hunter, right? But I think looking at my perspective at that time and just seeing what the club represented, what it stood for, the history. Obviously, I've not done a massive deep dive into the roots of Manchester United's history. I've not dived into, like, obviously the initial group that founded the club. I've not gone back that far. And basically it's just the sort of history that gets regurgitated a lot, right? the Busby Babes, the Munich disaster, the rebuilding of the team, the rebuilding of the club, and basically from there onwards, Sir Alex Ferguson, his legacy, what he'd built with Manchester United, and the sort of football they played, and the foundations that Sir Alex Ferguson had built. So that is, in essence, where my support for the club has come from. Obviously, there's a lot more research that I need to do on the club to really understand a lot more in depth about it. So obviously, if someone does come to question my knowledge, which I can guarantee someone will eventually do, I will have the knowledge there. I'll know what the answers are to the trivia questions. And but yeah, basically, that's then. This is now. And basically, given the time of this stream, as a debut stream, after what has been such an eventful Premier League final day, and I'm just going to give a very quick, straight to the point, conclusive end of season review around Manchester United, and a little quick word basically on other clubs, which might, for anyone that does watch this video or sees the stream, if they do tune in, basically just sort of giving a quick word, like parting words on those clubs and their seasonal performances. So obviously, as we know, starting with Manchester United, the coup de grace, right? The be-all, end-all, the alpha to the omega, right? So 16 wins, 10 draws, 12 losses, 57 goals scored and 57 goals conceded, 58 points. 58 points. Lowest points tally ever in Premier League history. And somehow, it still gets us 6th place, right? And this is the thing, before we say anything about, obviously, the game that we've just played, a big shout out to Brighton, a big shout out to them. Thank you for giving West Ham fan base crippling depression. Thanks for giving them crippling depression. A fantastic result for them, though. What a fantastic result for them. A fantastic little club, fantastic little team, little squad that they've got going there. And a big shout out to their manager, Graham Potter. What an immense job that he's done. With limited resources as well. You know, on paper you could easily say that club should be right down sort of 17th, 16th place, you know, just surviving with the last like 3 game weeks of a season. You know, their season should be getting finalised towards the very, very end, towards the bitter end, but no, it's top half of the table finish for Brighton, which I don't know, I think they did that last season as well, I can't remember. I don't know if they were top half of the table, but even so, you know, massive plaudits to the manager, Graham Potter, for a seriously phenomenal job that he has done there. Graham Potter. But no, seriously, massive shout out to them, because without their result, we would be in the Conference League, because if anyone has been living under a rock, we lost our game. We lost our game to Crystal Palace. It was 1-0, but we still lost. And what I suppose is worse for the people, for the players that played today for Manchester United, you've just disappointed, probably rather pissed off your new boss. So, yeah, good luck to you, Man United players. Thankfully, that is the season done. We don't have to think about this season so much anymore, but obviously we've got to conclude a very quick end of season review. Obviously I'm not really coming to this stream with much of an idea, with much of a plan. It's just sort of winging it at this point, but you've got to start somewhere, right? So what we'll do is let's go through the squad, right? Let's go through the squad and let's basically give a quick word to each of the players that have played, right? So 2 players that I think you've probably heard this a million times before, right? 2 players that we do need to give plaudits to in the Manchester United squad has to be one David De Gea and one Cristiano Ronaldo. 2 players that have had by far the biggest impact on a positive basis for Manchester United this season. The slightest glimmer of hope that we've had going into games where we've not known that whether we're going to win or lose, or draw. We don't know. It's this one of those seasons where we can't really predict what to expect this team. But if there's one thing that you can guarantee is David De Gea will pull off some fantastic saves, world-class saves, keep the team in a result that probably shouldn't go our way, and Cristiano Ronaldo at the other end of the pitch to be finding goals out of absolutely nothing. So where the rest of the team has seriously, as a collective, just dropped off the face of a cliff, and essentially, as what some people have alliterated to, basically giving up on the season come November time. So the fact that we've had a goalkeeper and a striker that have literally dragged us through the mud and have kept us in any form of relevancy, because without them, let's just be honest, we'll probably be somewhere down in the bottom half of the table easily, quite easily. So yeah, let's actually give these players some ratings, right? Let's give them some ratings, right? So David De Gea, every single game he's played this season, literally has not missed a single game in the Premier League this season at all whatsoever. So obviously, yeah, key saves has kept us in the fights, has kept us in contention, has kept us from losing a lot of games. But unfortunately, there's been plenty more games where obviously I think there's not really a lot that you can say about what perhaps David De Gea could have done better in certain games. Because, I mean, with the sort of defence that he's had in front of him, the team that he's had in front of him has been so neglectful to actually putting in any effort into games. I'm not really surprised at all that obviously De Gea's come under question with certain attributes to his game, but looking at the cold hard facts, without David De Gea we'd be so much further down the table. So to be honest, out of a 10, I could probably say we'd give David De Gea maybe a 6.5. I'll go 6.5, right? We'll give him 6.5, not because he's been that good, but more because he's kept us in a respectable position, right? He's kept us in a respectable position. So probably, in my opinion, I'd probably say, I don't know, Player of the Year, perhaps, Player of the Year contention. For impact, but if they're talking about Player of the Year, then probably I have to go 7. So actually, yeah, we'll go 7 for David De Gea. I'll go down to Eric Bailly, right? Played 4 games in the league, right? So can't really say that he's offered much to the squad. Not played anywhere near enough to really give a solid rating. And yeah, it's definitely someone who's been quite vocally dissatisfied with the amount of game time he's had this season, and I mean, understandably so. Especially looking at other centre backs that we got at the club, you'd easily understand why he'd be frustrated. And I think it's fair to say as well that there's been a lot of calls from a lot of Manchester United fans to start Eric Bailly over players such as Harry Maguire, such as Victor Lindelof, and I haven't seen many people calling for Raphael Varane to be replaced or to be benched for players like Eric Bailly, but there's definitely someone in the fan base like that. So unfortunately, you can't really give much of a rating. I'll probably have to say just on the basis of, let's say, 5. Just give him a 5. It's not really been just, he hasn't been anything really special. And yeah, I think in terms of influence on the squad, probably a little more bad than good across the season. So we're going to have to go with a 5 or something. Diogo Dalot, 24 games. I think at the start of the season, it would probably have been in everyone's mind, Diogo Dalot, what's his future? Does he have a future at this club? A lot of people probably would have told you no. But to be fair to the managers, I say the managers, so I actually mean Ralf Rangnick, because he's been the one that's really played him. But not great season for Diogo. So definitely not a commendable rating. But I have to be honest, right, in my assessment, in comparison to his other right back competition in Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he's offered more variation to this team play than Aaron Wan-Bissaka has. He's had more attacking output, and his work rate, I've got to be honest, I think his work rate is head and shoulders above Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So to be honest, he's had the better season at right back on the basis of what he's offered to his team. Obviously, quality wise, you probably say Aaron Wan-Bissaka is slightly better in quality, but in terms of performances, I think he's got to give it to Diogo. So to me, again, he's not been good. As part of the defence that's conceded the most amount of goals in Premier League history, for this club at least. So I have to give a 5 again. I have to give a 5 if you've now contributed to that of a terrible defence. Phil Jones played 4 games, not really seen anything of him. He's currently on the injury bed as well, so I'm afraid I can't really give him much of a rating. Victor Lindelof, 28 games played. I mean, he's very hit and miss, isn't he? A lot of people speculating about his perfect partner. Is it Maguire? Is it Varane? I think a lot of people have called for the Varane-Lindelof partnership. Head and shoulders above the Maguire-Lindelof partnership. So I think you have to give credit to Victor that he has definitely been one of the better centre-backs of a bad bunch. To be honest, I think looking at that, I've got to be honest, I say again, contributed. He's had some pretty piss poor performances as well. So I'll have to go 4. I'm going to have to go with a 4, to be honest. A lot of the times where we've been absolutely pummeled, he has been the defender, one of the 2 centre backs playing. So I've got to put my hands up and just say, look, if you are there, then people are going to be looking at you for that. So again, 4. Harry Maguire, someone who I've got to say, he's one of, if there's anyone that I really wish to get sold this summer, is got to be Harry Maguire. The amount of problems that this guy, the problems, the stress for fans, and I think just the lack of talent on display. Maybe he's got more to offer, right? Maybe he has got more to offer, but the showings that he's had on the pitch is clear as day, shown exactly what Man United have been missing, and that is a proper, decent, versatile centre-back that you're not looking at on the team sheet before a game and seeing, what sort of calamity is Maguire going to be for the team. So, I mean, if we're going to give a rating straight to the point, I'm going to give Harry Maguire a 3. I'm going to give him a 3. This, I can't. I really don't want to be sticking on players who, to be honest, I don't really see as worth my time. Describing, because there's way more negatives than positives, so I don't want to be constantly just droning on negative. I I want to have a bit of life, a bit of positivity to give some sort of a glimmering light of hope going into next season, because hope is definitely what United fans are going to need going into next season 100%. Luke Shaw, 20 games played in the league this season. Luke Shaw, I think, is arguably, well, he is technically, performance-wise, Man United's best left-back as at the moment. If I were to give him a rating, straight to the point, I'm going to go with a 5. I'm going to go with a 5, to be honest. And I think, to be honest, it's justified. I think he's not had a spectacular season. He's not had spectacular performances. Again, one of the players who in his team has contributed to a lot of, bad results. He has featured in some good results this season as well. There's a lot of things that we can speak about Luke Shaw needing to improve on in his game in terms of his attacking output. Obviously, I think defensively he's not suspect. He's not so bad. If you talk about defence, it can be a bit shaky at times, a little bit sort of unreliable, but I think compared to his other left back that he shared this position with this season, I think it's definitely, we've got to give Luke Shaw the benefit of the doubt that he has been Manchester United's best left back, best performing left back this season. Even though there is plenty more for him to improve on. Alex Tellers, 4. Started off this season, a lot of people probably would have wanted to have seen him get more game time to prove himself some more. I think he has had a performance or two that has actually been above average, that's been fairly decent, but aside from that, he's offered nothing else for this team, so I'm going to have to go with a 4. Let's go with a 4. Let's go with a 4 match rating, seasonal rating for Alex Tellers, and I think, to be honest, I could probably see him getting sold this summer. Rafael Varane as centre-back, 22 games played in the league. I think not as impactful as I think we probably would have wanted him to be, what we would have hoped for him to be. We definitely saw him coming into the season when we acquired him in the summer, thinking that he was probably going to hold Maguire's hand throughout the season, because we thought, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, they look like a suspect partnership at the back. So Rafael Varane, enter Rafael Varane from the Galacticos of Real Madrid into Jokechester United Football Club. He's not had the desirable impact, unfortunately, and whilst he has had a few good games here or there, he's also been at the forefront of some of Manchester United's biggest humblings this season. So again, I have to give Rafael Varane a 4. To be honest, I have to give him a 4. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 20 games played in the league this season, and where this guy has gone, I don't know. He came in to the club, right, from Crystal Palace, and everyone was so excited. I remember I was excited as well. It's like the whole Spider-Man thing. Like, we weren't sure about his attacking output, right? We weren't so sure about his attacking output, but he came in, it's like Spider-Man, just like shooting webs across the pitch and just like tripping players up and everything, and seemingly tackling, taking the ball off of wingers, strikers, whoever it is. And it's just like, it defies logic, right? Some of the one-on-one challenges, his one-on-one defending, as per his highlights, would suggest that he would be a brilliant right back for Manchester United. But he's, especially this season, he's fallen off the face of a cliff. We're talking more negatives about him than good, and is supposedly, as rumour reports, as one of the players that the club would be happy to sell. And I've got to be honest, if that is the case, I'll be happy to see him go if we get a good deal for him. But I think it's been a serious shame with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, especially with the hype that he had coming into the league, coming into the team when we did sign him. I think same summer as Harry Maguire. But yeah, as for a rating, I'm going to have to give Aaron Wan-Bissaka a 4. Again, it's one of the defenders that contributed to some of the most terrible moments of our season. And moving on to midfielders. Oh boy, where do we start? Midfielders. Let's go Bruno Fernandes, right? He's at the top of this list here. 36 games played, so missed 2 league games, right? Missed 2 league games. 10 goals scored. Accumulated 10 yellow cards as well, so definitely someone who's showed his frustrations on the pitch, but he's assisted quite a few times this season, and the one thing that we have to say as a collective with Bruno Fernandes this season is how growingly frustrated people are getting with this guy. He started, I think the season he started fairly well, above average performances, but we've just noticed as an individual he's just disappearing in games, and he's just not, with the range of passing the guy has as his locker, right, he's not exerted his talents, he's not maximised his talents for what he's capable of. So we're spending more times talking about what Bruno Fernandes didn't do in the game, rather than talking about what he did do in the game. And Bruno Fernandes is a guy that I really do rate. I do like him a lot. I hope that he does stick with this team, and hopefully Ten Hag can get a really good tune out of him, that he finds his best form, and that he meshes with the team well. He meshes with the team more, and that, I think it's the same story for a lot of other players in this squad. And hopefully with the new signings coming in the summer, we should see better chemistry between these players, a better understanding, and overall better team performances. We're going to give Bruno Fernandes a rating. I think still, even with poor performances this season, he has delivered goals and assists as one of Manchester United's biggest contributors. I have to give him a 6. I have to give him a 6, and a 6, not a 5, a 6 solely for his contributions, for his goal contributions, right? And that is simply it. Fred, moving on to Fred, one of the 2 Chuckle brothers, as it would seem, in the CDM position, which is not a position that he specialises. I have to be honest, right? Fred, I liked what Fred was as a player, especially when he was signed under Jose Mourinho, albeit that it wasn't a Mourinho signing. It was not a player Mourinho wanted by any means, but is definitely someone that had the tenacity, the energy to be what could have been our version of N'Golo Kante, right? He's just everywhere, just covers all areas of the field. He's tenacious, he gets into challenges. Obviously his abilities looked a little rough around the edges, and unfortunately we have yet to probably actually see the best of Fred. He's been played out of position for so many years, and now we're talking about Fred in when are we going to see the best of Fred? When are we going to see the best of Fred? Probably never, to be honest. He'd probably be sold before we see a Fred masterclass. I know some people go on and talk about Pastor Fred coming in with a goal. I mean the game's done at 3-1, so you making it 4 probably is not most desirable of impact. I mean, he scored 4 goals this season, despite allegedly being a CDM. So I mean, fair enough in getting those 4 goals. But as for a seasonal performance, one of the major reasons as to our failure this season, our seriously massive, catastrophic failure of a season, is our midfield has just been bypassed so easily, so often, and Fred has been one of the biggest contributors to that. He's been one of the the starting names on the team sheet. Him, along with the likes of Scott McTominay as well, whenever he is featured. That's another midfielder. We'll get onto him in a bit, but just easily bypassed, and we've just not seen the best of Fred. And unless Ten Hag is confident in getting a good tune out of him, I'm gonna be honest. I probably want to see Fred get sold. I'll probably see him getting moved on. As for how much we can get for him, I don't know. He's not on a massively lucrative contract. At least I don't think he's definitely on over 100k a week, which might be a bit of an issue. Jesse Lingard, 16 games played this season. I didn't give Fred a rating, but I gotta be honest, right? Just deciding between a 3 and a 4, right? I'm gonna have to go 3. We've hands down, out of 20 clubs in the Premier League, we've had the worst CDM midfield ever. The most unimpactful, the most bypassed defensive midfield of any club in the league. And I don't remember a midfield being worse. So I'm going to have to go with a 3 out of 10. Jesse Lingard. Let's speed things up a little bit. Don't want to be droning on too long because it is getting late. But Jesse Lingard, 16 games played, 2 goals scored. Was hoping to see more from him. Hoping that he would be happier or would give more for his team as a squad player, but obviously being a squad player is not his bread and butter. He's not very happy. It's quite obvious that he's not been happy, especially since January transfer window. So since January transfer window, not getting his move away from the club has been awful. Absolutely awful. Completely uninterested. One of the supposed leaks, as per the behalf of Paul Scholes, what he has said, I believe it's Paul Scholes that said that, but one of the leaks of the dressing room, I've got to be honest, for what he's offered for not caring about his club, especially in its dire straits, it's 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, because at least where Harry Maguire has been absolutely comical and has cost us so many points, so many goals, at least he has shown a little bit of care. I mean, he's not like he's just throwing his toys out the pram, just like, no, I'm not going to try anymore. Like, he's just been that bad. Right? So, yeah, for me, Jesse Lingard, for a player that doesn't care, I will absolutely slaughter you if you don't care about my club. So, yeah, 2 out of 10. Juan Mata, someone who is being a fantastic servant to the club, but has long overstayed. I think long overstayed, not so much his welcome, but I think his best before dates, right? We've gone past his best before dates with this guy, so I've got to be completely honest. I think it's time for him to go this summer, preferably. Obviously, with the game against Brentford, gave us goodbyes then, or what looked like goodbyes, but now we're supposedly hearing that they might want to keep him at the club. Ten Hag might want to keep him at the club. We'll see what happens. When the discussions happen tomorrow, supposedly tomorrow, could be some point later in the week. But yeah, as per a seasonal rating, to be honest, not much impact. Is 7 games played, so not really much to talk about there. But when he has come on, when he has featured, he's actually been alright when he has featured. To be completely fair, he has featured. When he has featured, he has done relatively well, but I think what you want from a squad player is they come on and it's not so much guaranteed, but not so much guaranteed impact, but they will make a difference of some sorts. They'll speed the game up. They'll give it a good feel to it. We've not really played a style of football, nor have we really played against opposition where we can sub Mata on and say this is the perfect game for him, because teams don't really sit playing low blocks against us anymore. They don't really do that. They'll play slightly tighter at the back, and they'll stick to their guns. They'll play their game plan, and surely enough, their game plans have completely just stripped us apart numerous times this season. So, but yeah, in terms of a season rating, it's be generous, right? I think for his what I'm hoping would be his last season here, let's give him a 6, right? Let's just give him a 6 out of 10. Nemanja Matic, 23 games played, another player leaving this one for certain. To be honest, big thank yous to your services for the club, of course, but obviously not in the state in his career where obviously we can expect him to do a lot for this team, right? There's not a lot for us to say about Nemanja Matic. As for this season, I mean, he obviously being at his age and being as part of a team that's not really played intense football for a long, long time, now that we start to see management coming in that's looking to up the tempos, I think this is the perfect time for Nemanja Matic to leave, right? Before the game gets too fast for him, right? Before we don't have to, or before we end up relying on someone who we know is not very quick. He's not quick enough for our system, and trying to expect our team to play or play other teams off the park. He has been probably the most solid CDM this season, in all fairness. I think that would be a fair assessment, as definitely compared to Scott McTominay and Fred. The most solid CDM this season, I've got to be honest, though, when he has played, he's played relatively alright, nothing special. I'm going to go with a 6. I'll give him a 6, 5. Let's say 5.5, right? He is a part of the CDM's position of the squad, which has been easily our worst out of any team in the league, our CDM position. So I'll give him a 5.5. Credit where credit's due. He has been probably our best CDM at the club this season. Going on to the next one, Scott McTominay, Jesus Christ, 2. The second one of the Chuckle Brothers in our CDM. I mean, that's all she wrote. 2 out of 10. Contributed every time he has played. Every time he's played CDM, we've nothing good to say about him. Nothing good to say about him at all. Nothing at all good to say about him. The only positives we can say is the one game where he played further forward and scored a goal, which was against Leeds, I believe. I believe it was against Leeds. But one goal, even for a CDM, it's just like, some CDMs in this league have got 5, 6, 7 goals. They contribute defensively and offensively. They do it all. They are the engine of the team. Scott's nothing. He's absolutely nothing in this team. Fred I was a little bit more ashamed about, that it couldn't be something more, but Scott McTominay is just absolutely frustrating, because it's obvious where he can be most effective for this team, but it's obvious no one's going to use him for that, so why bother with it, right? Why bother with it? But yeah, I'm not really going to stick to that. I've got to whiz through these now. I've got to parry this up a little bit, to be honest. Hannibal Mabry, a few cameo appearances. Can't really give him a rating, to be honest, so I'll probably have to skip him. But yeah, Paul Pogba, who's injured, who's leaving the club, I think good time for him to leave. Again, thank you for your services. I don't really have anything negative to say about you, about Paul personally, but as a player, I think it's fair to say it's not worked out. The second stint, he's not really, aside from I think Mourinho's first or second season, he's not really provided Manchester United with the level of Paul Pogba that we would have wanted, that we would have needed to have achieved success, or any form of success this season. But yeah, I think he leaves at a good time. Unfortunately, it's not selling him, it's him running down his contract. Again, it's another guy that I think some murmurings are talking about negotiating with the club still, potentially, which I pray to God that doesn't happen. I hope it's Juve that just swoops in, takes him back to Juve. I think it's best for all parties he goes back to Juve, to be honest. I think he'll be way happier. 100%, he'll be way happier. You'll see it like a French national team style Paul Pogba playing in a Juve jersey, right? It'll be a lot better there. But as for seasonal ratings, I'm going to give him 5. I'm going to go with a 5. I can't say he's been on average, because he's had more bad games than good games, to be completely honest with you. Edinson Cavani, 15 games played this season. Oh boy, 15 games played, 2 goals. Any striker in your club with 15 games played, with Edinson Cavani's sort of level of talent, you'd be sort of looking at about sort of 8 to 10 goals. The rest of the time, he's just been sat on the injury table. He's been on the shelf for the rest of the season, and we need strikers with good quality, of course, to come in and deliver for us. We need better results. We've been so reliant on one goal scoring output up top. The fact that we've got Edinson Cavani, who's injured half the time, I think that's another player that I think has got to go at the end of the season. He's got to go. So as for a seasonal rating, aside from being injured all the time, I'll have to give him a 4. He's not really done anything for us. Anthony Elanga. Anthony Elanga, I'm going to be generous and give him a 6. Because it's a guy that, even though you might not have the talent, it looks increasingly more likely that he's definitely not the sort of Manchester United level, right? You can't fault a young kid for trying to fit in, trying to give his best efforts for the club, even if it isn't at a good enough level. Obviously, it is major commiserations to him with his penalty miss, given all the vile racial abuse that had ended up following after that game. It was as clear as day. You go into the Instagram comments on his most recent posts, even posts that had absolutely nothing to do with the game, that he missed a penalty. I think it was against Middlesbrough. Was that against Middlesbrough? I think it was Middlesbrough. But yeah, it's just people just openly racist, and it's just there's no place for it, for racism in this sport to any capacity, no matter what happens. It's the same thing with the racism against Rashford, Saka and Sancho, which I'll be getting onto 2 of those players in a bit. But yeah, I have to give him a 6 for his efforts, which I think is a fair enough assessment. I mean, you might disagree, you might think, his output's been terrible, give him a 5, but, I'll be generous to giving Anthony Elanga with his first season playing first team football, by the way. If it was any other season, to be fair, I probably would have rated them lower, but it's his first season, so we can't really we can't really be too harsh on him. Alejandro Garnacho, again, cameo appearances, can't really rate him. The nonce, no, it's not a nonce, but still, the woman beater, we will not rate. That can be trashed straight away. Marcus Rashford, 25 games played, 4 goals scored. Wow. That is 100% a massive disappointment this season. Such a disappointment. Since having his injury and since slowing down his game, he's struggled to give anyone a reason for him to stay or to play for this club. Stay at this club, let alone play for it. It's like so many times people are just like, well, let's be patient with Rashford. We've still got a good player in there. Be patient. To be honest, I think several seasons now Rashford has had for chances to prove that he can still offer this team something going forward. He's not done that. He's scored 4 goals. But what else? Where are the rest of the goals? He's not scored more. And it's so frustrating to be watching Marcus Rashford from game to game and just seeing this slow struggle. And again, it's a player that on that pitch, I swear down, just does not care. Has not cared. Has not cared this season. I think he's more interested in his politics than he is in his actual footballing career, which I think for a professional footballer, getting paid as much money as you do as Rashford is your bread and butter. That's your focus number one. Focus point number one, step one, give a damn about being a footballer. If you're not going to give a damn, why stay here? Goodbye, bye-bye, leave the club. Go somewhere where you can actually give a damn, and actually start putting in performances again. So, Marcus Rashford, 2. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think going with the popularity vote, I'm going to have to go with the popularity vote, right? Player of the season, 7. He's been out and out our best outfield player with 18 goals. A couple more assists as well, I think. But yeah, he's been seriously important. Without him up top, he's 100%. We are way further down the table, bottom half of the table, I'd probably say, without Cristiano Ronaldo. His goals have been massively impactful, giving us points from game to game. Can't give him a higher rating considering he's none of his goals have come in pivotal moments in certain competitions the way we've gone on to win or gone on to compete, so can't really give him an outstanding rating. But yeah, go with a 7, out and out the best rating for players in the squad. Going to Jadon Sancho, 29 games played. To be honest, it actually feels like way less, but I think since Ralf Rangnick has come in, he's definitely had those numbers bumped right up with appearances, so that's a positive. But yeah, again, less than desirable impact. I think it's like the Rafael Varane signing. We wanted him to score more goals. We wanted him to assist more. I think he's assisted quite a few goals this season, but again, he's been so reliant on Cristiano Ronaldo. You would have hoped that Sancho would have at least done more. Can't say that he hasn't tried or that he hasn't not given his best effort. So, to be honest, I have to give him a. He hasn't been so much poor on average. Let's go 5. We'll give Sancho a 5 for the season. Shola Shoretire, 1 cameo, played literally the game against Crystal Palace, so we can't really rate him to any degree. Let's go manager rating. I'm going to rate Rangnick as a manager. I'll tell you as a manager his managerial rating, right? I'm going to go with a 2 out of 10. Let's go with a 2 out of 10 rating on a managerial front. We're going to go with a 2. My God, this team, I literally 2 out of 10, but I don't really blame him for it. Like, this is probably the most disgraceful group of players that any Premier League team has really had in terms of people that have actually cared or given effort or tried to dig their manager out of hot water. But Ralf Rangnick came in as an interim, replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which, by the way, I'm not going to rate because that atrocity that was the start of the season is not worth rating. But Ralf Rangnick, I have to give 2 out of 10. because obviously there was no tactical masterclass apart from 45 minutes against Palace. We're not going to judge that. We're not going to judge him based off of that. What I will do is credit for what Ralf Rangnick, what he has done, right? And what he has done is he has come in and he's done something. He's done way more than any person in the Manchester United fan base could have possibly have bargained for. He's come out and he's absolutely lit every toxic bastard on fire and has basically stuck them on the end of a pike and placed it at the top of a really tall tower and has shown the world every major problem with this club. Is every major problem. The lack of efforts, the toxic dressing room, and it's been very, very toxic. The poor dealings with this club, the January transfer window, the very clear and obvious reports that showed that Ralf had not been backed properly in the transfer window. He wanted players bought, the club refused. He wanted players sold, and players wanted to leave. They refused both parties. It's inexcusable on the part of the club, and Ralf Rangnick has been the sole reason that we go into this summer probably with the most prosperous potential for future, and probably in best case scenario. Definitely at squad level, at manager level, 100%. It'd be 100% the biggest reason why we can go into the summer with those kinds of vibes, with those kinds of feelings. Because imagine if it wasn't him. Imagine if it was someone else. Or imagine if Woodward stayed and Pochettino came in. Imagine all of the unburied truths that would still be, or the buried truths actually. All the buried truths, they'll still be buried. Right? But Ralf took that shovel and he dug deep into those roots and basically just said, well, look, here you go. This here is the rot. Here's the problem. And if you trust me, you give me the backing and the power. I agree to doing this consultancy role and I want you to uphold your end of the bargain, and I will help turn your club in the right direction, right? And he's doing that. He is doing that right now as we speak. He is doing that. Today is his last day as a manager for Manchester United Football Club. He will be absolutely, like, I can tell you right now, it's not a means to celebrate, but this guy is probably drinking the biggest glass of red wine right now, or some very, very strong pure alcoholic beverage. There's no there is no chance this guy is not unwinding big time, right? There's no chance that he's not unwinding big time. So yeah, you know, praise be to Ralf for his services, even though obviously wished it could have worked out better on the managerial side, but you know, it is what it is with the players, with the squad, and hopefully going into next season or this summer, I think that's the next step this summer. It's going to be way more positive, way more exciting. We're on the verge of quite a few deals at the moment with the Jurrien Timber deal. Fantastic centre back and a future captain material apparently, according to Ten Hag. So, you know, I'll happily take that. Manager back signing as well, which is important that we do now, that we get manager back signings. You know, talks of the De Jong deal. Obviously, that's there's all sorts of different outlets talking about different stages of the deal. It's, to be honest, I think it's a deal that is probably something that will, if it gets done, it will be the dragged out deal. It will be the long haul deal. but we don't know. The club might turn around tomorrow and just be like, give us De Jong, we'll table this amount of money for you, just give us the player. They might turn around tomorrow and just do that, and Barca would just be like, okay, here you go. And, you know, De Jong would have to accept his fate that he's leaving the club, you know. It's not like he's going to a horrible, horrible place where he knows nobody. He knows another player that's already there. He knows the manager, right? That's it. Are we still live? Are we still streaming? Yeah, we are still streaming. It's being weird. My YouTube is being really weird. But okay. But yeah, all my bits are telling me that I am still live, which is good. This is a positive. But yeah, the Darwin Núñez deal as well. Someone who I think is probably not going to join us. To be honest, I'll be honest. I don't think that is something that's going to be done for us. But not completely out of hope. You know, I think there's a lot of things that we can be positive about. Whoever it is that United decide to sign, as long as it's a manager-backed signing, that is the be-all, end-all policy for transfers going forward. It has to be a manager-backed signing. As long as it's manager-backed, I have no reason to sit here and question it. We can doubt it, we can debate about it, but yeah, we can't say, no, I don't accept this. You know, as long as it's manager backed, that's all we can possibly hope for. So, at least now that concludes sort of a rather depressing, uninspired end of season review on the club. But give a quick word, a quick shout out to a couple of other teams in the league. Shout out Crystal Palace, obviously. Congratulations with the win. Shout out to Patrick Vieira for doing a fantastic job at that club. It's got them from relegation favourites to a actual respectable mid-table team that plays well, that plays a good style of football. Shout out to Eddie Howe at Newcastle. Again, phenomenal job when he came in, turned the fortunes around and put them right back on the map. Brighton, again, I said at the start of this stream, you know, Graham Potter, and obviously massive plaudits to them for they handed us Europa League football. Don't ever forget that, they handed us Europa League football. Brentford as well, good season from them. You know, they stayed up the first season up and looking really good. Congratulations to Leeds for staying up as well, even though I don't really like Leeds, I don't really care about Leeds, so you know, congratulations, go fuck yourself kind of thing. Shout out to the Aston Villa, respectable season as well. Done well with Steven Gerrard, but yeah, unfortunately for you, guess slipping still isn't out of your nature, unfortunately. You have to you'll find a way around that. You'll find a way around that eventually, but until then, Slippy G to Man City's rescue. Much to Liverpool's woes, but no, even so, shout out to both Liverpool and Man City, literally taking this title race to the wire. They've actually kept things in question right the way through from start to finish. Even though Chelsea started off the season flying, they ran away with it at the start, but then Man City and Liverpool were just like, normal services resumed, right? Normal services resumed, straight back at them, and you know, credits to them. Two fantastic teams that are absolute serial winners in all of their competitions that they compete in. And Man City are only going to get better. I don't know what Liverpool will be doing in the summer. They've linked with quite a few players, so I'm sure their squad will be improved going to next season as well. So more of the same next season, I reckon, in terms of this battle for the title. Tottenham, congratulations to them on the top four confirmation today. Even though it was pretty much unlikely that they were going to bottle that, even though it would have been a really Spursy thing to do. They really didn't look like they were going to bottle it, and obviously, unfortunately for Arsenal, they just so happened to do a very Tottenham-like thing, and handed fourth place to Tottenham. I think lastly, this last two clubs, right? West Ham and David Moyes, a manager that I never really rated, but I have to commend him for his work at West Ham in putting that team from shock relegation team, right, like what Everton have been this season, and he's put them back on the map. And not just put them back on the map, but he's got them playing in European football. I think that's way more. If you'd asked a West Ham fan 5 years ago that you'd be in this position, that you just missed out in this season on Europa League football because of a result not going your way, like, they would have snapped your hand off, even though it's not happily ever after for them. In respects to this season, it's still such a important place for them to be at this stage, with a club with their size. They will definitely need to look to bring in more squad depth so that they can go deeper into seasons where they do play European football. They'll be playing European football in the Conference League, so I mean, to be honest, I think they might fancy their chances in Conference League football. They might, there you go, West Ham, the perfect level for you, the perfect opportunity to find a European trophy in the Conference League. They'll probably actually genuinely be perfect for you. I mean, we could say if Man United were in the Conference League, I'd turn around and say, well, yeah, the same story for us, same contact, same everything, right? That's our level. Of course it is. It just had to be our level. But, so yeah, big ups to, David Moyes, for his work at West Ham. Definitely he's made West Ham Stadium a very hard place to visit. Burnley, commiserations, but I've got to give it to you, right? I've got to give it to you. That's for sacking Sean Dyche, the legend that he is, right? The monotone, robotic voice, ginger, hairless, bearded northerner, right? Who I think was one of my favourite managers in the league, easily. Just classic interviews, right? Classic press conferences, everything like that. And obviously, I hope he's doing well for himself. Hopefully he gets another job soon. Hopefully he gets back into management really soon. I really hope to see him. Maybe he manages a Premier League club next season. Maybe he does. Maybe he actually doesn't take a job over the summer going into the new season. Maybe he goes into some point next season, takes over a club and keeps them up in the Premier League. We don't know. It would actually be really cool to see that happen, though. To be honest, it would be really cool to see that happen. But yeah, I think that concludes, really. Nothing really else to say about any other clubs, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. So yeah, we'll do a quick rundown of basically what's going on with this channel, and what sort of structure is it going to have. Now, I don't really have a structure for this channel right now. I don't really have a schedule or a planner or a day-to-day thing. It's probably not going to be so consistent, but in all fairness, it would probably, I could probably do this more often than not, right? I should have the time to do this more often than not. I think tomorrow I'm working. I'm returning to work. I've been off for 2 weeks with COVID, so I am still recovering from that. I've got the tail end of the of one of the symptoms, which is a cough, which you probably would have heard throughout the stream. But as for the stream, hopefully tomorrow, after work. I suppose work, even though I'll be working on the day, I might be able to stream in the evenings because I don't really work past latest 5:30 p.m. So maybe 7 p.m. earliest in the evenings. We stream for an hour, cover up-to-date topics. There probably won't be anywhere near as long as this stream. I mean, this stream's been really long, but I mean, end of season review, and it's the first stream. I'd like it to be big. I like to talk a bit more. Talk a fair bit about, obviously, my club's performance this season, and a quick note for other clubs as well. And the shout-outs that I think are in order for a lot of these teams. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of other clubs a lot of other channels doing their end of season reviews over the next couple of days. Some have already done theirs. And I think for us as Man United fans, it's literally all about looking towards the future. Looking forward to Ten Hag turning up to Carrington and setting up a octagon and going 3-round fights with half of this squad and whipping them into shape. You don't know, to be honest. Ten Hag could probably a black belt in like judo or karate or something. Like, the guy could probably kick everyone's ass like as Zlatan Ibrahimovic can. But we'll have to see what happens. Starting from tomorrow, it's nearly 10 p.m. here, which is super late, so I've got to wrap this up real soon. But yeah, with my job, I work a part-time job, which is sort of at the moment not so part-time. I mean, doing 4 days this week. I've got the Tuesday off and Friday off. Also got the Sunday off. I think the next couple of weeks after that I am doing Mondays to Fridays, but Sundays are actually shorter than others. Sometimes I could be sort of starting midday, where I could probably do something in the mornings and then finish early in the afternoon, so I can start stuff earlier in the afternoons and evenings. But generically, very early start in the morning and through to like 5:30 in the afternoon, so I can do stuff from sort of 7ish onwards, because obviously I've got to travel to and from work. It's not a very quick travel time as well, because I do take a train. So yeah, that is that. But yeah, probably tomorrow, if we do a stream tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, then it'll probably be some point Tuesday morning. Potentially Tuesday morning, Tuesday late morning, so Tuesday afternoon, some point Tuesday. What I'm going to do is going to take it relatively easy. I'm not going to go just sort of like crazy, like spamming feeds with content and stuff like that. Like, oh, Jesus. I probably won't go just sort of like crazy with it, right? I'm going to take it nice and steady, relatively simple, relatively basic, but hopefully all goes well, all goes according to plan. I'll be streaming next time tomorrow, hopefully at some point, so expect around 7 p.m. I probably won't start doing pre-scheduled streams, so I think it's just the case really that if you just wander into my stream, then welcome yourself, make yourself at home, and don't hesitate to type something in the chat, to talk in the chat, because that's what I'm here for. I like to talk with people. Obviously I'll talk more about myself over the next couple of streams. I'll talk more about this channel, what we're going to be doing, and basically exploring this journey in YouTube football streaming, right? And it is going to be a journey. It's going to be a steady, gradual journey, and we're going to take it one step at a time, right? Obviously, not very much viewership for the first stream, if anything at all. I think there was one viewer that we had, but big ups to him for clicking on the video, right? That's still better than what my Twitch channel would have done about a year or two ago. So yeah, shout out to that bloke. But for anyone that does watch this on playback, which is probably where going to be the most views, if all of the views. But yeah, massive appreciation to anyone that does watch, that does drop a like, that does subscribe. Obviously, this being the start of the channel, that just show some love and support in the chat. I massively appreciate that, and hopefully we'll see you again in future streams. Again, like I said, hopefully the one tomorrow. Really drawing this one out, but for any support that I do get, it's massively appreciated. Obviously, with the more streams I do, the more natural this comes to me. And when I start getting into a role with things, obviously, everything starts going more smoothly, right? It goes more smoothly over time with more experience. But I'm going to wrap this up, right? And for anyone that does watch, massive appreciation to you. Massive thanks for you for watching. Obviously, dropping a like would be a massive appreciative gesture, appreciated gesture. That would be massively helpful for me in the growth of this channel over time. Obviously, I'm not expecting this to blow up overnight, but it's going to be a long summer. I think for a lot of people, it's going to be a long summer. Some people have gone away on holiday, right? Some people have literally gone, okay, screw streaming. Screw streaming. I'm pre-making videos and enjoying my time. Wink, wink. Lee Gunner, right? Wink, wink to him. But yeah, massive shout out to him. I think it was in his channel where I actually suggested that this is something that I was going to start doing, and he actually, I think, was it today? Yeah, it was today. That he, encouraged people to subscribe to the channel, which is, it's an endorsement, and I massively appreciate that. Someone who's literally just started this out, so yeah, hopefully all things goes well. Yeah, once again, massive appreciation for anyone who does watch the stream or watches this on playback, who drops a like, who subscribes. Hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow or later on. I won't have my socials linked yet, but that will come over time. But yeah, hopefully we continue with this on the roll, and hopefully come tomorrow evening, in terms of Manchester United, maybe there should be some crazy breaking news that we can discuss about. But yeah, until then, we shall see you next time. Thank you very much, and goodbye for now.